This is 4 ways to build your career, in addition to the 5 ways to build your career of another video I already made. These 4 ways to build your career has to do with structuring your brain's habits and building up mind extensions, tools outside of your brain that make you smart, like your personal files, your library, your cognitive friends, your cognitive furniture, your cognitive architecture, your cognitive apparel. Build up your brain habits and your mind extensions to be as boldly aimed at the major needs of your time as you can, and be utterly ruthless and honest about what your time and era needs, because this is not what promotion needs or accolades need or is popular with the press. This is pending disasters and delusions in society that everyone is blind to and being sucked into, and you've decided to structure yourself in another direction. That won't pay for 10, maybe 15 years, but it will pay mightily 20, 30 years down the road when you're in the top of your career. The second way is to aim all the tactics of your life where the biggest needs and contradictions are. And this is tough because the biggest needs and contradictions aren't in compassion areas. And they aren't in capability development areas. They're in the interface where capability and compassion interact. And it's so easy to be romantic about need and the sans culotte in the French Revolution. And that's what ends up turning people into revolutionaries, because these people are suffering so much. You guys are bastard. We should kill you. And you see what I mean? The tyrants often use compassion as a road to tyranny. Hannah Arendt has a lot of books on this, about the Russian, the American, the French Revolution, how this actually operates in history. And so compassion by itself is a pretty dangerous road to take. On the other hand, capability development, you end up on Wall Street buying your third house and your 10th boat, and taking cocaine, drinking too much, and raising kids who get ruined by copying your own drug habits. A very, very rich, useless idiot. So it's that border, and it's complicated. It requires judgment and balance and all those things that we all would rather avoid. But if you aim all of your tactics at the actual realities, the most powerful realities of your time, on that border between capability and compassion, then again, historical forces will bring you power and influence and satisfaction. Third, undoing your schooling and your family influences on you, however good or however bad. Getting out of that as your initial factory settings. Becoming an adult eventually, which means people who know when and where you were raised, what nation, what gender, what country, what family, what socioeconomic class. When they meet you, nothing of what you do, say, and how you react fits that. You have made yourself so that you no longer automatically fit the background that generated you, your initial factory settings. You were self-made. Technically, that's called adulthood. And very, very few people in modern societies ever become adult. But people in Roman society became adult. But very, very few people in modern societies become adult. And so everyone's trapped in their little local bigotry they were born into. And everybody at the age of 55 walks around prating about how I just happen to be the luckiest guy in the world. I was born in the world's best society, and the values that I was born into just happen to be the best values in the world, and all you other idiots should be more like me. It's like those 200 books I read on philosophy of education. Every single philosopher in history said that educated people are people who are, well, like me, and the whole world should be more like me. Not only is this boring and sick, but it's very narcissistic, probably a mental illness, and it's factually not true. A world of a whole lot of people like me would be utterly disgusting. I'd end up like Ray Bradbury's Martian Chronicles, going to Mars. Then master the 64 capabilities of highly educated people and the 64 capabilities of highly effective people. I've written books on these. These are not my opinion. They came from 8,000 people we interviewed at the University of Chicago for 7 years. Most of those 64 capabilities of highly educated people, at least 40 of them, I had never heard of, thought of, certainly didn't master. I went to very good colleges, did very well in very good colleges, and didn't touch most of them. So you don't get any of them hardly by being in a top college. Top colleges are simply no longer educating people at all. If you define educatedness not politically or bigotedly or religiously, but empirically by looking at 8,000 of the best people from 41 nations, 63 professions, who rose to the top of all those professions, and asking them how they rose to the top, and then using that to define a good person and a good education. And by that criteria, colleges are not educating people at all. Certainly the top colleges aren't. And then effective people, going to the world's most effective people in 41 nations, 63 professions, asking them, these are people who rose to the top by being highly effective, and asking them what actual capabilities their effectiveness consists of, and where they got those capabilities and how they deploy and use them. So learning those 64 capabilities of highly educated people, that's people who rose to the top of 63 fields in 41 nations based on being more educated than other people, and the 64 capabilities of highly effective people, this is people who rose to the top of 63 fields in 41 nations by being more effective than other people. Those 64 plus 64, 128 capabilities are a really good starting point for seeing the gap between what the world's best people are and do and what you currently are and do, and then what your college tells you you should be doing and what your mentors at work tell you you should be doing. And the gap is so immense. I mean, most of your mentors don't even know these capabilities at all, much less are able to do them. And you realize the best people in the world are much better than you in a lot of ways that college doesn't touch on and that your mentors at the moment don't know about. And so if you don't actually go meet 8,000 of the best people in the world like I did, not that it's great, just that it's common sense. If you want to be a great person, it's going to be nearly impossible to do it unless you've met 8,000 of the world's best people yourself, widely distributed in 41 nations and 63 professions. If you haven't at least done that, the chances that you're going to be one of the best people around is zero. You've never even met them. You have no idea how their capabilities differ from all the little media images that's popular, that sells. And boy, what sells and what works is so different, so terribly different.